Hi. The Boy Scouts of America recently held its national annual meeting in Orlando, Florida. One of those folks in attendance was Dan Coberly, president of the Transatlantic Council. So we thought we'd spend a few minutes talking to Dan about his impression and perspectives from the national annual meeting. And hi, Dan. It's good to see you again. It's been a while since we've been face-to-face virtually, but it's always good to see your face. Hey, I'm not privy to know exactly what went on at the national annual meeting because I wasn't there, but you were. And I'm wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about about your observations, your thoughts, and what we might look forward to in the future.
Well, thank you, Mark. It's good to be here again. I did attend the national meeting in Orlando with several people from the Transatlantic Council, and of course, many other representatives from councils and national committees around the United States. They're always good to attend because you get to see your old friends and people that you haven't seen in a long time, and attend some of the national banquets like the Silver Antelope and the Buffaloes. I was truly inspired going to this one. I think I've been to about 25 of these over the years. This was very inspirational with our new leadership, our new Chief Scout Executive and President. And what we did was get a good briefing on the background that led up to today with the change in our logo, its appearance. There's some slight differences in the eagle and so forth. One of the major actions at the meeting was a discussion about the quote name change. The corporate name remains the same as I understand it. We're still the Boy Scouts of America, incorporated in Washington, D.C., but we're now doing business as Scouting America. And I just want to make that clear, at least for the time being. I also want to make it clear that that's not
so
the first.
It's just a DBA. It's almost like a nickname as opposed to
Exactly.
Everybody was saying they changed their name, so they haven't really changed the name. It's just kind of a nickname that is more inclusive, right?
Yes, I don't want to be critical of anyone in the process. I think they did the national staff did a great job of the strategic placement of the announcement of the news release, and plus the embargoes with some of the media, so it could be released at the national meeting. So yeah, technically there's a name change, and we're doing business as Scouting America. But some of the headlines that were invented said it's the first time in 114 years that we changed our name. Not exactly true. We have used Scouting USA in the past, back in 1970 through 1980. That was also on the cover of our handbooks. And then there's a confusion in the past where we had girls brought into the advancement program, and it was Scouts BSA and that sort of thing. So we have program names, we have the corporate name, and then we have doing business as.
Sometimes it's confusing for those of us within Scouting to keep all the program names separate and understandings. It must be difficult for people outside looking in. So, change in the nickname. What else did you find in terms of you said that there seemed to be a lot more energy and enthusiasm this time around. Is that because of the change of leadership? Is it because we're looking now in the rearview mirror of coming out of bankruptcy and moving ahead? What do you think accounted for that change in energy?
Well, I think anyone who has lived through COVID and the issues with personal economy can understand how one can get jaded over time when they're constantly bombarded with negativity from the media and other sources. It's difficult to deal with a bankruptcy, and it's difficult to emerge from it. But attitudes are everything, and so attitudes are us. I think we do have a fresh air, a fresh slate of leaders, and we do have a new set of circumstances. So what is being referred to as Project Phoenix, is rising from the ashes and moving forward. Forward ever, backward never kind of thing. And so I think that was inspiring. It was inspiring to listen to some very positive leaders making presentations. It was very inspiring to hear some of the young people talk about their journey to Eagle and beyond. We had a lot of information about focus groups and findings in the focus groups, all of which I think were pretty positive. One of the findings that impressed me was a lot of people still don't know what scouting is, particularly mothers and fathers that don't really have an understanding of scouting because they weren't a scout. And I think in the United States, there was so much negative publicity that people are really not certain, about the program. So I think we are embarking on a new way of reaching out in our communities and through our councils to engage our communities and inform people to the point where they truly understand that scouting is one of the best options for youth. It is also one of the most cost-effective options when you compare it to many other activities that children might engage in. It is certainly something that is on your resume for the rest of your life, whether it's on your printed resume or the one ingrained in your heart that makes you who you are.
Yeah, when I think about the Transatlantic Council, I have the tendency in my own mind to say it's just the same but different than the councils here in the continental United States. Am I making a wrong assumption there, or are there some qualitative differences, and will there be some qualitative differences in the program moving ahead in the Transatlantic Council as a result of what happened this year at the national meeting?
Well, all councils are unique, and yet they're all the same. We have a Scout brand. We have a Scout Council that is chartered by the national office. We all agreed to follow the aims and methods of Scouting, which includes the Scout Oath and Law and the principles and policies and procedures. So that's where the sameness comes in. The uniqueness comes in based on the geographical territory and the people involved in that community. We have regional dialects like, the southern region and so forth. But the scouting is pretty much the same. Where it starts to differ is when you have a group of people or personalities that band together or have these bonding adventures like going to Philmont and going to Wood Badge and all these other programs. You click and you get this camaraderie going. And that's part of what appeals to many youth and adults. In Europe and in Far East Council, we're very different in that we have a mostly military population. But there are councils in the United States that also have a nearby military installation that plays a significant role in terms of volunteers. One of the differences there is many of the Far East and Transatlantic Council cadre or alumni, if you will, return back to the United States, and they're in every council in the United States. There's at least one Far East or Transatlantic person there. I myself have been in, I think, 13 different councils over my career, mainly in the Far East, Atlanta, Alabama, Oklahoma, and in other territories. What I want to point out here, though, is with the military turnover and the drawdown in military troops, we tend to have a smaller footprint in terms of our military resources and personnel.
Do you anticipate any pushback from decisions that were made at this year's meeting from folks within the Transatlantic Council, or is it going to be just pretty much business as usual? Because again, scouting is scouting, and the principles are the same for all of us.
Well, in my opinion, there's no significant changes required of our council other than maybe some of our branding devices have to be upgraded, the logos and the DBA name and that sort of thing. I don't think it significantly impacts the program. I will say that in terms of the changes in totality, the new and improved attitude, shall I say, of positivity is a very important step. Scouting is a game, and we need to learn how to play the game again and be happy and have some fun in the process. We've been purely academic at the council level. I'm talking, executive board members and so forth, for far too long. Now it's time to get out there and be more visible and accessible and attend more events whenever we can. That said, we just had our Normandy event in France, which is a really good turnout. The Chief Scout attended, the National Commissioner, the International BSA National International Commissioners, and some past officials also attended, in addition to many people from the World Scout Bureau and I believe the World Scout Foundation attended Normandy. It's a significant event every few years. I think they left with a very, very positive view, not only of Transatlantic Council, but the scouting in general and what it can be like. Not every council has a Normandy, but every council has something that they can offer.
Yeah. Um, I, I, I I don't know. You're fairly new in your position with the Transatlantic Council, correct? Have you had an opportunity to do any outreach to the broad base of folks in your council, or could we consider this little video, this little project, the first foray out in en masse between you and your members of your council?
Yes, I'm pretty new to the president position. I've been on the board for over 30 years in various capacities, mainly as a national representative and as a board member. I had 7 to 9 tours in Transatlantic Council while I was in the military, depending on how you count those tours. 2 as a youth and the rest as an adult military person. I'm long since retired from the military, from the federal government also. I also spent tours in the Far East Council, the Canal Zone Council, and as I said earlier, several councils in the United States. So yes, I would like to do more of these to try to start the outreach. When you have a geographically dispersed council like we have and the Far East has, you're separated by many, many miles and many countries. And being able to visit, at least from the United States, to all these areas is not only expensive, but very time consuming. I do want to get out as much as possible, as do all the others in our leadership, but sometimes it's just not practical. So we're going to end up having to use these videos and other methods as we do with our Zoom meetings to keep in contact with everybody. That's the wave of the future for the moment.
Yeah. You have an opportunity right now, and this through this platform, to deliver a message of any sort you'd like for folks in your council. What would you like them to know beyond just your history and background in scouting and the military? What would you like them to know about scouting in general? How you envision the future to be for Transatlantic Council? Any impression you drew from a possible cultural shift now that we have a new chief executive? Just anything in general you'd like your folks to know.
Obviously, there are many, many topics that we could probably have more of these videos to cover. A lot of new areas and our council growth. We're currently in between 54 and 56 countries. I've got to get those stats updated and get that list of countries updated as well. But our primary mission is to support military families. The military provides a lot of support to us, and our professionals are generally covered under the Status of Forces Agreement, which provides certain benefits and saves our council a lot of money when you're living overseas. And so we need to reemphasize our focus on the military community and expand our membership there. That said, we're concurrently expanding our membership in these other countries. And that involves, in some cases, international schools, and sometimes one-eaches, lone scouts, and so forth. So my folks are doing a really good job in all those categories. Fundraising is always an issue because we have people that leave the council after 2 or 3, 4 years. Very few stay longer. Some stay as a civilian expats, but people don't die and leave us a scout camp here. They go back to the United States eventually. So we don't have that kind of endowment program, and we're looking at new ways to create our own endowments beyond the James West Fellowship. Also, I'd like to point out that in some of the news reports, they have reported that the part of the reasons that girls are in the program is to increase diversity, and that's not exactly true either. Yes, of course, the more people of all races, creeds, colors, and genders, that increases our diversity. However, girls have been in the program since the 1970s, and I want to bring that up every chance I get. The difference now is girls have entered the advancement program where they can become Eagle Scouts and attend all the high adventures on the trail to Eagle, just like their brothers and friends. And now they can become an Eagle and participate in scholarship programs, eligibility for that. And they also have a lot of opportunities throughout life with the Eagle Scout networks as they move on. So we've had girls in the program since the 1970s. We started girls in the advancement program in the last several years. So that is really nothing that new at this time. although sometimes it gets reported as though it's a brand new thing. Uh, yes, the increasing number of women and girls does increase our diversity. Our council has a goal of 20%. We've reached that significant milestone in terms of the number of women and girls participating in the council.
Yeah, I think the most compelling reason that justifies or the rationale behind opening the advancement ranks to Eagle to females is the number of primarily fathers that I've spoken with over time who said to me, I wish my daughter could experience the Eagle Scout journey. It's just that simple. And for the longest time, there was no reason they shouldn't be afforded that opportunity other than the policies within the scouting organization itself. And I, for one, couldn't be happier that we've opened up the trail to Eagle to twice as many people as we would have before. I'm just very pleased about that.
I was at a national meeting several years ago when some amazing young women stood up at the national meeting and addressed the entire general session with a very passionate appeal to allow the girls to enter the advancement program. Remember, girls have been in the program. They were adventuring, they were in exploring, but they were not part of the Boy Scout advancement program where they could earn the rank of Eagle Scout. And yes, many fathers urged us to do so, many mothers and fathers, but I was surprised at the number of fathers also that wanted their daughters to have the same experience that their boys had or that they themselves had in scouting. So that was a very meaningful moment and one of the tipping points in scouting, American scouting rather, that we finally opened the door.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, the Scout oath, the Scout law has not changed one bit. We're still fundamentally the very same as we have been since the inception of scouting in this country. And I think that's something that people don't quite understand. What final words do you have for the folks in the Transatlantic Council about the annual meeting or anything else?
We're looking forward to our 75th anniversary next year. I don't know that many councils that have been around 75 years. I'm sure there are others, but that's a significant milestone for us. I think we're going to have our next annual meeting is set up for Dubai. That's going to be quite an interesting location. That's in the Horizon District, which is I think our largest district within the council. I think all of our people, I believe all of our people are doing a really, really good job. It's just not the same dynamic when you can see everybody's faces and attend all the same camporees when you have so many countries involved and so much distance involved. It's quite different than when I was a kid. There were up to 42 countries, but most of those were either in the NATO footprint or had a military base involved. That's just not the case today. But thank you for the job you're all doing out there, and we need you.